Consider this almost a follow-up, a extra edition of Geoscope. It's like a spin-off on my channel. For those of you who don't know, I've started doing a weekly show now with Graham called Geoscope. I hope it's the right one. But essentially, we look at the world, what's going on in the world. We talk about sort of foreign politics, what's going on around the world, how it sort of affects us here in the UK. It's all right. We do quite good at it, I'd say. But no, go check that out. It's on Labour Social. But one of the things we were talking about recently is, of course, of the fact that Elon Musk, and we also covered this on our channel as well, looks like he might be seriously considering pulling Twitter, or X as it's now known, but I'm still going to call it Twitter, that he's going to pull Twitter from the EU completely. Now, why? Why is he doing this? Well, the EU has passed a law requiring that social media companies, if there is misleading or harmful information published on their platform, that they have a responsibility as the owner of that platform to do something about it, that they have to have policies in place and actions to be tackling this misinformation. And the thing is, as we've always said, misinformation has its consequences. And unfortunately, as we have seen with the current crisis going on in the Middle East at the moment, agitators, far-right agitators in particular, have been taking advantage of this to, well, spread a lot of hate. And you won't be surprised that a lot of this shock horror is coming from X. Now, the response ultimately, I think, is that the EU is going to act. Musk has been warned plenty of times to say, hey, if you don't do something, the EU is going to act. And the EU has had its eye on Twitter for quite a while since Musk took over, basically flaunting all the rules and saying, it doesn't apply to him. Even his bizarre exchange he had with the commissioner saying, oh, post it all on here. We do things in the open, no backroom deals. It's not a backroom deal at all. They've said, hey, this is your responsibility. These are the rules. If you want to operate in the EU, you've got to follow them. Musk, as far as he is concerned, because it's an open platform, he's done nothing wrong, even though, again, he is responsible. He owns the platform. He should be following the rules and regulations. He clearly ain't. And like I say, there are consequences. So what have been the consequences for this? Well, as you can see, reported here in the Yorkshire bylines, hate crimes against Jewish and Muslim people have risen across the UK. That has been the consequence of Elon Musk allowing this and Twitter to become an absolute hellscape. And bear in mind, it's not just Twitter. Twitter is the main culprit in all of this currently, but there are other platforms. We don't exclude YouTube, Facebook from this either, but they have been acting. They have actually been acting to try and combat this. Musk, well, he's just sat on his hands and done nothing. Meanwhile, for him essentially doing that, there have been real-world consequences. So we're going to go over quickly this piece from the Yorkshire bylines and just a section in particular to show you what the real-world consequences have been, because I think this is worth repeating. So before we go looking into that, please do remember to have a look at the click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club down below as well. So, like I say, this is just from the Yorkshire bylines, and this is the part where we're going to go. So here it is: far-right agitators exploit the crisis. So tensions have been worsened by the spread of false claims online perpetrating the attacks on Israel in Gaza, and in some cases Posters have posed as Muslims and urged others to go out and attack Jewish people. But the former posts include nothing which suggests an affiliation to Islam and instead focus on topics popular amongst the far right. The incendiary language aimed at each community in turns appears to have come in large part from right-wing posters who are equally hostile towards both. Looking at the international picture, research by NBC News found that the news is being distorted on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, where Elon Musk is downgrading of established news providers. 7 unreliable sources now dominate the coverage of Israel and Palestine. These include right-wing Polish marketing agency Velgred24 and former Andrew Tate stan account Censored Man. X agreed to remove a post which called for Muslims in the UK to be bombed, in which an incident which was reported then to the police. Both Muslim and Jewish people say that they have now experienced a significant increase in targeted online hate. However, to the point where they feel hopeless to respond, many have simply chosen to just stop using social media. But as one Jewish woman pointed out, that only helps so much when other people are still there receiving those damaging and misleading messages. This is the real world consequence. This is why Musk's inaction on this and him allowing this and downgrading all of the new stuff he's done in response to this has only allowed far-right agitators, as has been pointed out here, to exploit the crisis. And it gets even worse because a number of physical assaults have occurred in the UK and people have reported being frightened to walk through neighborhoods which they previously considered safe. In the US, a 6-year-old Palestinian Muslim boy was killed and his mother left with serious wounds, where they were attacked by their landlord who shouted Islamophobic slogans. And France and Germany have also seen an uptick in violence, and police are exploring the connections with neo-Nazi groups. So, as you can see, this is having real-world consequences. Musk sitting on his hands is just not a viable strategy. He should act. And I will say this now: the British government should be looking at Twitter as well. They should be looking at Musk, saying, "Hey, you have a responsibility as a platform owner and owner of Twitter to say, hey, you need to crack down on this type of stuff because it has real consequences." And I have been saying this going all the way back to the days of, the Count Dankula thing. It has real world consequences. Your actions have real world consequences. You just don't say something and it exists in a vacuum because it can get exploited, it can get boosted. And yeah, platforms do have a right, I think, to go out and censor speech, especially if it is harmful and misleading, because this is what ends up happening. You have real world consequences of people being attacked in real life. So, as always, like I say, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time. So please do remember to click on that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, we'll see you all next time.